What in case your biggest chance is not the person who hates you, however the one that smiles beside you. We've been taught to fear our enemies, to watch for assaults from the outdoor. However, Machiavelli knew higher. The real risk comes from folks who pose as allies. The colleague who praises your paintings but floor a doubt whilst you leave the room. The buddy who smiles at your achievement till it threatens their spotlight. Machiavelli wrote high, who reasons every other to become powerful ruins himself. Now not out of malice, but out of realism. Loyalty within the actual international is a mask's overall performance, a tool until it is now not. So these days we dive into the ruthless genius of Machiavelli and expose how to detect, diffuse, and dominate the fake friends and colleagues that could spoil you in case you live naive. This is not a manual for the susceptible-hearted. This is for the ones equipped to survive and rule. Welcome to Machiavelli Mind Methods. We all need to trust in loyalty that people will stand by way of us because of shared experiences, private bonds, or moral standards. But Machiavelli didn't purchase it within the prince. He stated it evidently. Guys are ungrateful, fickle liars and deceivers. They shun risk and are greedy for advantage. To Machiavelli, loyalty wasn't a distinctive feature. It turned into a convenience easily discarded when it not served non-public interest. He believed most people align with strength, now not due to the fact they agree within you, however due to the fact they gain from you. And when that advantage fades, so will their loyalty. Historic instance, Cesare Borgia, allows talk about one of Machiavelli's favorite figures, Cesare Borgia. At the height of his power, Borgia becomes surrounded by using so referred to as allies, noblemen, generals, even clergy. But Machiavelli located how Borgia never without a doubt trusted them. He used them strategically, gave them electricity when beneficial, and when they became threats, he removed them. One such guy became Romero d'Oro, a brutal commander Borgia appointed to pacify the Romania vicinity. Whilst the process was done and public hatred for Romero grew, Borgia had him done publicly. His head changed into displayed inside the town square. Machiavelli widespread this, now not the cruelty, however the clarity. Borgia understood loyalty is temporary, power is everlasting. A sensible prince need to rely upon what he controls, now not what others promise. Modern, they reflect, the company climb, speedy ahead to nowadays. Think about your office, your profession. How many people congratulated your promotion, however secretly felt threatened by it? How many teammates offer assist handiest when it doesn't cost them something? In excessive stakes environments, loyalty regularly lasts best so long as the ladder is under them. Once you're now not a step up, you emerge as a risk or worse, an obstacle. It is why Machiavellian approach needs you stop anticipating loyalty and start measuring self. Hobby. Ask no longer who likes me, however who wishes me, and greater importantly, who gains if I fall. Mental perspective, cognitive dissonance. Right here's wherein it gets deeper. Human beings will betray you while nevertheless believing they are dependable. How? Because while ambition clashes with attachment, the thoughts twists truth. I didn't betray her. I simply did what I had to. He left me no preference. I needed to shield myself. That's the rationalization of a faux friend. And also you might not pay attention it until after the knife is on your back. Key insight. Loyalty need to be earned over and over. So what do you do? Forestall assuming loyalty is everlasting. Begin looking for changes in hobby, energy, and status. If someone's incentive shifts, their loyalty quickly will too. Praise reliability, no longer affection. Folks that display up deliver effects and take hits for you. They're treasured, but usually verify. Due to the fact, as Machiavelli reminds us, the promise given turned into a necessity of the beyond. The word damaged is a necessity of the existing. There's an old pronouncing, better the Satan you recognize than the Satan you don't. However, Machiavelli might sharpen that even similarly. Better the enemy you may see than the buddy who hides a knife, because enemies are obvious. They challenge you overtly. You prepare, defend, counterattack. But foe friends, they shake your hand with one and poison you with the opposite. Machiavelli, ever the realist, warned rulers not to worry open hostility as much as they must fear false loyalty. The lion cannot shield himself from traps, and the fox cannot guard himself from wolves. So one ought to be a fox to understand traps. The prince, foe buddies are traps. They embed themselves inside your consider. They examine your weaknesses, have a look at your ambitions, an advantage get right of entry to your plans. Then, while the moment is right, they betray you in a way that's devastating due to the fact you never saw it coming. Case examine Julius Caesar and Brutus. One of the most legendary betrayals in history is also the maximum personal. Julius Caesar failed to die in struggle. He did not fall to foreign invaders. He changed into stabbed with the aid of his personal senate, led with the aid of Brutus, someone he trusted like a son. Et tu, brute, even you, Brutus. That wasn't a cry of pain. It changed into a scream of psychological surprise the instant Caesar found out the mask of friendship had been a lie all alongside. Brutus posed as an best friend to stay close. He smiled in Caesar's shadow, and whilst strength shifted, he joined the knives. This is the threat of fake friends. They use your agree with as a weapon. Workplace parallel, diffused sabotage, in cutting, edge places of work. This betrayal does not come with daggers. It comes with whispers. Your pal leaks your ideas to others. They tell the boss you're suffering simply to plant seeds of doubt. They align with you whilst you're growing, however quietly withdraw whilst you hit problem. Those are the brutishest varieties of these days. They don't wear togas. They put on fits, smiles, and allow me recognize if I'm able to assist. The strategic reaction. So, how do you cope with them? Don't get emotional. Get analytical. Machiavelli might in no way act on emotions, simplest information and patterns. Look ahead to inconsistencies among what they are saying and what they do. Test loyalty in small ways. Deliver them managed information. See if it leaks. Ask for aid whilst there is no praise. Watch their response. Hold optionality. In no way permit one man or woman emerge as the sole gatekeeper in your recognition, approach, or achievement. Due to the fact, don't forget, an open enemy wounds the body, a foe buddy wounds the thoughts, and a Machiavellian is aware of. One cut you can bandage, the opposite can smash your reign. Before a betrayal ever takes place, the signs are there. However, most of the people ignore them. Why? Because they want to consider the illusion. They confuse allure with character, attention with alliance. Machiavelli did not make that mistake. He understood. Each foe pal well. None shows themselves if you're observant sufficient. So, permits smash down how to apprehend these pretenders before they strike. Sign 1, over flattery. Watch out the colleague who praises the entirety you do, mainly in public. Men are so simple and a lot willing to obey immediately desires, that a deceiver will never lack sufferers. The Prince Machiavelli knew that folks who flatter continuously are normally hiding something. Their intention isn't always to boost you up, it is to decrease your defenses. In contemporary offices, this seems like nobody could have dealt with that higher than you. You are the smartest individual right here. We're lucky to have you. In reality, if it feels too sweet to be sincere, it in all likelihood isn't. Signal to indistinct aid, quiet absence. A fake buddy is present for the birthday celebration, however absent for the crisis. They show up whilst you're prevailing, however fade when you're attacked or struggling. Ask yourself, who speaks up while I'm being criticized? Who disappears when I want backing? A Machiavellian would not confuse presence with partnership. They look at who most effective helps you when it is easy. Sign 3, passive sabotage. The two confronted colleague not often attacks immediately. They perform through viable deniability, the art of betrayal without fingerprints. Examples? I suppose she's first-rate, but a few human beings are pronouncing she's now not geared up for that position. He's definitely gifted, though he has been beneath a whole lot of pressure recently. That is how they inject doubt at the same time as pretending to protect you. Machiavelli would spot this right away. These are folks that desire to undermine your function, even as keeping their image of loyalty. Signal for moving electricity when you succeed. Watch how they react for your top news. Do they celebrate actually or with forced smiles? Do they echo your pleasure or fast shift the topic? Do they share your wins or locate subtle methods to outshine you? Jealousy is the seed of betrayal, and a true Machiavellian is aware of envy amongst friends is extra dangerous than hate among enemies. The Machiavellian technique. Psychological triggers to discover a hidden enemy. Watch how they act whilst you're not beneficial to them. Word their behavior when you gain effect, attention, or benefit. Fake friends end up tense when you not need them. Take a look at what they do underneath stress. Stress famous the mask. Ambition exposes the real face. Real global software. The center manager entice. In corporate settings, center managers frequently play each sides. To senior management, they reward you. To peers, they whisper doubts. They don't want you fired, just neutralized. They fear you'll upward push past them. So, they paintings in shadows, the usage of phrases as weapons. Machiavelli might in no way confront them head on. He'd look at, report, and prepare his counter before they ever knew they have been uncovered. Lesson. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to examine the person he is around him, the prince. On your lifestyles, the identical applies. Your electricity is tied to the satisfactory and loyalty of these closest to you. As soon as you have recognized ability traitors to your circle, you do not want to confront them without delay. Machiavelli not often advocated open conflict except it becomes simply important. As an alternative, he taught rulers to use strategic distance, manipulate through detachment. A prince ought to be clever sufficient to recognize the way to take advantage of the faithless, the prince. In different words, you do not must cut them out. You simply should hold them near enough to observe, however far sufficient to prevent damage. Psychological electricity of distance. Right, here's the hidden power. Whilst you pull back from a person who thrives on get entry to, they end up volatile. Foe buddies rely on proximity to accumulate intel, live relevant or manage. While you lessen get right of entry to, you force them into uncertainty. You restrict their have an effect on. You regain manage of your very own image and plans. Distance becomes each armor and leverage. Historical instance, Louis XI of France. Machiavelli in demand Louis XI, King of France, for this precise tactic. Louis surrounded himself with formidable nobles, however never allow anybody Guy emerge as too near. He divided energy, kept in forms in each camp, and turned around effect like a chess master. As an end result, I became effective sufficient to betray him effectively. Distance wasn't coldness, it became strategic survival, company application, controlled get right of entry to, in cutting, edge commercial enterprise global. This performs out with records control and emotional limitations. Let's assume you think a colleague is undermining you. Do you accuse them? No. That creates noise, war, and makes you look insecure. Instead, forestall sharing touchy information. They can't weaponize what they don't know. Redirect conversations live well-mannered, however indistinct. Loop them from your center selection, making they lose effect and do not even comprehend it until it is too late. You do not unfriend them. You unplug them quietly. Energy play. By no means provide general get right of entry to. Machiavelli would argue, no person, no longer even your closest buddy, ought to have complete get entry to for your thoughts, intentions, or plans. He understood the simple truth: the more humans recognize your mind, the less difficult you're to manipulate. So distance is not pretty much casting off threats. It is about retaining thriller, leverage, and control. Key takeaway: strategic distance helps you to observe without being entangled. Preserve, recognize even as putting off risk. Maintain electricity centralized in which it belongs with you. Because within the Machiavellian playbook, friendship may vary, but dominance have to remain consistent. Machiavelli did no longer agree within waiting to be stabbed. He believed in striking first, no longer out of paranoia, however, out of calculated necessity. Accidents need to be inflicted suddenly in order that there will delight in perhaps the much less. The prince, this isn't always about vengeance. It's about removing threats earlier than they metastasize. A faux friend, as soon as uncovered, does not just pose a non-public danger. They could poison your reputation, scouse borrow your opportunities, and reshape belief round you earlier than you ever get a hazard to reply. So what does it suggest to strike first Machiavelli's manner? Precept: prevention is electricity. After you discover a pattern of deceit, you act rapidly, silently, and surgically. This may imply slicing off their get entry to the crucial statistics, accept them from strategic conferences, changing them in collaborative projects, reframing your public alliance with them. And if the state of affairs escalates, divulge them circuitously, leak subtle truths that unveil their double recreation without ever appearing petty. The goal is not destruction. The goal is containment and dominance. Machiavelli's lesson from Cesare Borgia again allows go back to Cesare Borgia, a grasp of preemptive strategy. While he conquered Romania, he appointed commanders to cozy the place. However, as soon as their usefulness declined and he suspected developing ambition, he removed them before they could turn. His most infamous move, casting off Romero d'Oro, a brutal enforcer. Why? Due to the fact Machiavelli observed, violence used to gain electricity need to be observed through violence to consolidate it. Cesare understood. Put off offers your enemies time to organize. Speed crushes their momentum. Company reflection, the silent pivot. Consider you discover your best friend at paintings has been leaking your plans. They have not sabotaged you brazenly, but the signs and symptoms are clean. A Machiavellian move might no longer contain confrontation. Rather, you pivot your method without warning, feed them outdated or decoy records and watch what leaks. Quietly align yourself with more influential players. Then after they understand they've been isolated, it's already too past due. They may be outmaneuvered. You have already moved 3 steps beforehand. Mental layer. Anticipation kills threats. Most of the people watch for definitive evidence earlier than acting. But Machiavelli warns, a sensible guy does it as soon as what the idiot does at last. Fake friends take a look at your limits. In case you permit small betrayals to slip, they may increase. The preemptive pass is not impulsive, however planned. You do not react emotionally. You reply tactically with precision. Key takeaway: do not wait to be betrayed to protect yourself. By then, it is too late. Strike early, strike clever, and do it in a manner that preserves your recognition at the same time as undermining theirs. In Machiavelli's world, it's not approximately looking top. It is approximately staying effective. If you want to live to tell the tale betrayal, you ought to prevent building alliances based on emotion. Machiavelli didn't agree with in sentimental loyalty, and neither need to you no longer if energy and stability rely greater than consolation. He turned into explicit approximately this: a prince need to not have some other object, nor every other idea, however warfare, its establishments and its field. The prince alternative battle for power control, and the lesson is clear. Your network must be strategic, no longer emotional. Redefining loyalty, application over attachment. In Machiavellian terms, loyalty isn't always approximately love. It is approximately mutual interest. The human beings you believe most should gain out of your achievement, rely upon your effect, have something to lose if they betray you. If they may be emotionally unswerving, but have nothing to lose through hurting you, that is a liability. If they're emotionally cold, however deeply invested for your achievement, that is an asset. The Machiavellian redefines friendship as an alliance of motive. Check the useful best friend versus the emotional anchor. Ask yourself, of all of us near you, do they bring me leverage? Do they offer get entry to credibility, talents, or intelligence? Are they devoted to consequences, no longer just emotional validation? If the solution is no, then you're keeping an emotional anchor to your boat. And when the waters get rough, they will pull you below. Historical version Cardinal Richelieu. Take Cardinal Richelieu, the notorious power at the back of the French throne. He constructed a court docket of advisors, informants, and envoys, now not based on friendship, however characteristic. Anyone had a clean function. Each alliance changed into transactional, and if a person did not serve the nation or threatened his dominance, they had been replaced without right, bloodless, sure, powerful, virtually. It is how Richelieu maintained strength behind the curtain for over too many years in a court docket complete of vipers. Commercial enterprise translation strategic partnerships in enterprise. This interprets to choosing co-founders whose stability your skill set, not simply ones you like. Aligning with mentors who raise your credibility. Hiring not for tradition fit but for calculated contribution. Machiavelli could in no way hire a chum until that friend added cost to the battlefield. Emotional manipulate is key. Permits be clear, this does not imply turning into heartless. It manner being strategic about in which your coronary heart lives. Have real buddies outdoor your realm of energy. But in the arena, choose those whose pursuits align with yours, whose survival relies upon in your upward push. It really is how you build a circle that protects you in place of one that disappoints you. Key takeaway. A Machiavellian does not ask, do they prefer me? He asks, do they want me? And do I want them for something that topics, affection fades, leverage endures. In Machiavelli's world, power doesn't come from power by myself. It comes from secrecy. He knew that the individual that controls the drift of statistics controls notion, behavior, and consequences. It isn't essential, then, that a prince have to have all of the desirable traits, but it is most vital that he ought to appear to have them. The Prince translation, humans don't need to realize the truth. They want to look what blessings you, the energy of mystery. A fake buddy or doubled-in colleague is powerless, without get admission to. They want your plans, weaknesses, internal dilemmas, hopes, and fears. Without that statistics, they cannot expect your subsequent circulate, undermine your choices, leverage your doubts towards you. This is why Machiavellians by no means monitor their full intentions. They communicate in half-truths. They display calculated feelings. They protect their strategic opacity like a crown. Historical parable, Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon, arguably one of the greatest military minds in records, became also a master of incorrect information. Earlier than most important battles, he frequently leaked false techniques to manipulate how enemies might put together. One famous example, before the Battle of Austerlitz, Napoleon pretended weak point to draw the enemy right into an entice. Result a decisive victory not because of brute force, however due to sensible deception. That's natural Machiavelli practical application, strategic disinformation in your life. This indicates do not overshare your dreams with colleagues. They will now not be cheering for them. Do not provide an explanation for your every circulate humans. can best block the plans they recognize use.